Still to come, he faces a firestorm of criticism. Now Brian Williams taking a break from NBC Nightly News. Is this the right move to make?
13 minutes after the hour now, NBC Nightly News anchor Brian Williams announced that he is temporarily stepping aside. He's currently under investigation by NBC. You know, this scandal broke Wednesday when Williams apologized for repeatedly lying about a personal experience from 2003. Some would say that it broke sooner than that with a report in Stars and Stripes. Now, Williams claimed he was aboard a helicopter that was hit by a rocket-propelled grenade in Iraq when he was actually on a different helicopter. Well, in a new statement to colleagues, he writes in part, "I've decided to take myself off of my daily broadcast for the next several days, and Lester Holt has kindly agreed to sit in for me to allow us to adequately deal with this issue. Upon my return, I will continue my career-long effort to be worthy of the trust of those who place their trust in us." Let's bring in my colleague and CNN senior media correspondent, Brian Stelter, also Joy Reiman, CEO of Bright House Consulting. Brian, I want to start with you because when we spoke yesterday, we asked, would he step aside? Would he step down? There was a disagreement here about if he would do that, but I was following you on Twitter yesterday in the afternoon, and it seems to have come together pretty quickly. Did it come together quickly?
It did. This decision was made by Brian Williams later in the day after we spoke on Saturday. NBC executives say this was entirely his decision, but obviously a lot of people think he was at least encouraged to go ahead and do this by the executives at NBC News. They have not said anything publicly to support him, and that's one of the reasons why, Victor, people in the industry are talking about whether he's ever going to come back to the chair. It's an extraordinary thing to say because he's the nation's top-rated news anchor, but since this has done serious damage to his credibility, anything's really possible at this point.
Joey, what do you think? Was it a good decision to step aside?
Absolutely, and by the way, taking a break doesn't mean trying to escape or making a break for it. I mean, here's a guy who's been in business 30 years. He's got 9 million viewers. He's a very, very trusted brand. Yesterday, I talked about NBC being an acronym for
not being canceled.
Not being canceled.
Yeah.
Today, I would change that to now being counseled because the top brass at NBC clearly have said, listen, before you go back on air, we've got to air some laundry and see if there's a pattern here.
And what you told us yesterday is that all silence is not golden. Has he said enough?
No, he's not. And, you know, the greatest brands are transparent brands, authentic brands, brands that don't step out, but step forward and step up and tell you a story. You know, human beings are meaning-seeking creatures. We love stories. Those polls will change on his behalf if he tells his breaking story, which is the truth.
Brian, what's this investigation look like inside NBC?
It's a fact-checking mission, basically, inside NBC to figure out if what Brian Williams has said in the past matches up with these other people's accounts. There's been lots of external stories, as you mentioned, Stars and Stripes newspaper is one of them, that has quoted soldiers contradicting what Brian Williams has said. But NBC wants to make sure they've done that research on their own. And I'm going to have a soldier on Reliable Sources later this morning who actually has been interviewed by NBC as part of this fact-checking process. They want to make sure before they do anything or say anything that they know what's actually happened here. But
Brian,
I agree, Brian Williams is going to have to say more about this, and the question is how. The question is when. A lot of people, I think, do want to give him a second chance if they believe he's being truthful.
Brian, there's this poll, actually a survey commissioned by Variety, in which they polled 1,000 people, and 80% of them think that Brian Williams should lose his job. Now, we don't know how many of those people are ABC viewers or CBS viewers or loyal NBC viewers, but 80% is a pretty high number.
Yeah, this is a competitive business, and this is a loyal business. Viewers are loyal, right? They like to stick with the channels they choose, and it's a competitive business. There's a lot of rivalries, a lot of backbiting. It's a tight-knit business, but a very competitive business. So obviously there are some detractors of Brian Williams out there who might be trying to encourage this story to become bigger. But I gotta say, my Twitter feed, my replies, Victor, are the opposite of that poll. I'm finding 80% of people are telling me, give Brian Williams a chance, don't be too hard on him, let's figure out what really happened here. So I do think there's a wide variety of reactions to this. The bottom line, though, is in this business, what we have to go on is trust. What we have to go on is credibility. If that's eroded and viewers don't want to watch Brian Williams as a result, well, that's the ball game.
And finally, Joey, to you, every day that he's off, I wonder if the message of Brian Williams not returning means that they found something else and that further erodes the trust. Does it not create this artificial clock?
Yeah, the clock is ticking, and what Brian needs to do is get back on the air his laundry, tell people not so much how or when, but why. People want to know why, and if you have a why, it creates a story, and stories beat polls every single time.
All right, Joey Reiman, thank you so much. Brian Stelter, thank you as well. And of course, Brian, we know you'll have more on Reliable Sources at 11 a.m. Eastern right here on CNN. We look forward to that.
Thanks.